called a racist if you don't agree with everything that's progressive. And it's insane. Like, you cannot call somebody a racist unless you have some sort of evidence, something they've said or done that shows that they're racist. You cannot, and I can tell you this as a psychologist, you cannot say that someone's unconsciously racist. That's not possible. You wouldn't know that, and they don't know that. And if it doesn't come out in their speech and in their actions, then the subconscious mind is designed to do that, so they're not racist. It will come out in their actual speech and actions. No one hides racism in their subconscious and keeps it there, because you can't. No one can control unconscious bias. No one can control that. No, white privilege. Okay, so I was born into a middle-class white family. I'm a 41-year-old heterosexual white male. So on that victimhood intersectional Marxist chart, got public enemy number 1. So here's how it actually is. Shit childhood, not abused, but shit. It didn't end up well. I was privately educated. Got expelled from 7 schools in 2 years and didn't sit my exams. I was quite disturbed because of what happened in my childhood. So that led a path for me. And that path then led me to volunteering in a second world country, not war, just to be clear, I'm not Tim Wolf. And I was kidnapped and tortured. So then I came back, I got over my PTSD. I was a PTSD therapist for a good long time. And then first, 2020, there was a call down for quite for help down the road. It was a girl who was obviously needing the help. So I went down there. It was actually 2 women and 4 men. And they were trying to assault the women. So I quickly realised I had to take their place. So I did. I'm quite handy with my hands, but these guys, after they got a metal pole and started beating me around the head with them, then, well, the game was over. And it was an attempted murder. I survived it, but I'm dying because of it. So I'm 41. I can't make 50. It's now not looking like I might not even make 43. There's lots of things the brain controls, but when it can't control them, they go wrong as well. So heart failure. It's one of the things I'm dealing with at the moment. So if you can point out the privilege in that journey, then all I can say is you're wrong. I do have good genetics. Now you can say, oh, well, that's because you're white. No, it's not. There's no bearing on intelligence and ethnicity if you bring poverty and class into the equation, which they used to, because the real reason for privilege is wealth. It's not anything to do with skin colour. It's wealth. A black person in the 70s, who grew up in the 70s, if he had wealthy parents, would be far more advantaged in the 80s and 90s than a white person with less wealthy parents. It is all about wealth, and to a degree it was about class, although I think class is really just a word now. I won't be a better person than I was the day before, and I tried to do that for 20 years. And I spent most of my time helping people. So tell me why I'm a dickhead and why I'm wrong and why I'm racist when I literally have a multicultural group of people I know that would make any part of America impossible to have it. We've got the most multicultural society in the world in the UK. That's fact checkable from the recent census. Our capital city, white people are in a minority. So there you go, London. Yeah, no privilege there. What I was privileged is I do have a brain that helped me get ahead. And I used it. And I worked hard and I studied. But I still do. I study academically for 4 hours a day. It's a hobby. I've got used to it. But I put in the work and the hours, 14 hours most days. I'd say 14 hours. Let's say 12 hours over 7 days a week. That would be realistically what I put in. I don't mind because, as I say, my health is not in a good condition. I don't have very much else I can now do. So be careful where you point your privilege, because you might point it at the wrong person. People who talk about whiteness being the problem, white people are okay to be racist against, and they're all racist anyway, so that's fine. it just seeds the divide, and it is so infuriating when you actually know the truth is nothing like it, not even close. Now you can make and you can make a very good argument for poverty being the cause of most crime-ridden neighbourhoods, and you can then make a case for skin colour in those neighbourhoods. So you can dissect it, but it's a zero-sum game. You can dissect it all. At the end of the day, at all points in history, our ancestors were enslaved. At all points in history, our ancestors had times of freedom. It is a zero-sum game if you want to break it down, but you need to involve poverty. Because why do people commit crimes? Because they're poor. They don't have the money that they want. Nowadays, that's more average than it used to be. It's visible in England, it's visible in America, it's visible all over Europe, but more so, let's take the English-speaking countries. Privilege are, a huge part of the working class of, as they call themselves, of America. People who grew up in, I think the derogatory term, I'm going to use it, but I don't believe in it. I think they could say trailer trap. So where's their privilege? If everyone's got white privilege, everyone's racist and implicitly biased, where's their privilege? And from that, I would think, sorry about that. If you saw a cat there and you needed some attention, but if you look for privilege, you need to look for wealth. And you'll find that equation goes back through history, all the way through. The people who had privilege had wealth. They didn't have skin color. The idea that white people are behind all slavery is absurd, considering there's 50 million slaves alive today in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. And the African slave market is run by black people selling off other black people. So maybe that's a cause someone should get behind, but don't talk this trash about white privilege. It's not right, and it's not going to get you anywhere. It's just going to make the world more divided and more racially hating than it already has become, unfortunately, under this new woke guideline of DEI, which, if we allow it to take hold, will destroy our civilization entirely. I'm not joking. I'm not underplaying that or overplaying that. It will. If we allow the ideas of CRT, DEI, queer theory, and transgender theory to get a firm grip into our government, we've lost it. Those of us who aren't LGBTQ, aren't of that precious group, or aren't of a victimised group, who don't want to go through life thinking that they're victims and therefore that they're owed something. Those of us who are happy to just take part what we're given and make the best of it. And I can say I'm not touting myself as the best example. I have very limited people in my life, and unfortunately, once you start to go decline, people do move away because no one wants to see that, and I understand that. I don't mind. Some friends of mine I don't really talk to very much. It's fine. It's hard for them. It's harder for me, but it's hard for them still. I'm still, until I die, I'll still be trying to make sure that everything's on track in the best way I can. Not my job. I'm not going to be powerful. I'm not going to be rich and famous. I don't want to be called an influencer because I think that sounds evil and twisted. I just someone who speaks his mind, and I do have a load of facts, and I do study. So when I say this is a fact, that means you can fact check it, and you'll find it will be. Otherwise, it's just my opinions, and this is an opinion piece. But it's a very strong one I hold. White privilege and the idea of implicit race is the single biggest problem causing division in this Western civilization of ours. And it needs to stop now. So I'll leave it there. Always a pleasure, never a chore. You be good this week and I'll be lucky. How's that sound? Speak to you soon.